Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. Try our all-new caramel protein lattes with up to 31 grams of protein and options with no added sugar. Level up your drink at Starbucks.
Amazon Pharmacy presents Painful Thoughts.
20 more minutes to kill in the pharmacy before my prescription is ready. Maybe I'll grab some deeply discounted, out-of-season Halloween candy. I never had a chocolate pumpkin with raisins before. Those were raisins, right?
Next time, use Amazon Pharmacy. We deliver. And no, those were not raisins. Amazon Pharmacy. Healthcare just got less painful.
Welcome to another episode of the Be Fierce and Try podcast. I'm here today with Carolyn Carter, now former professional triathlete and social media influencer. So, Carolyn, do you want to kind of introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Carolyn. I live in Los Angeles, California. I've been doing triathlons for, 10 years now. My first triathlon was in 2016, so that's cool. I earned my pro card in 2022, raced as a professional from the middle of 2022 to the end of 2025. Did not requalify, so still going to race, but just back as an age grouper. I grew up swimming, so swimming is definitely my strongest of the three sports. And I would say cycling's my favorite and running is a work in progress. But yeah, and then in addition to triathlon, I do work a full-time job. So, it's hard finding, as we all know, time to train around the full-time job. And yeah.
And so what does a professional triathlete do in her full-time job?
Marketing. I don't know if that's surprising to anyone.
From your videos, I've been following you on Instagram for a couple of years, and I'm like, I kind of got that like marketing
vibe
just from it. Yes. So tell me about the pro card. So you qualified.
Mm-hmm.
You said, was it 2023?
2022, yeah.
2022, and didn't in 2025. Are you looking to requalify again, or are you like, no, been there, done that, I'm good?
Okay, so I qualified. There's a lot of different ways you can qualify for your pro card. I think mine specifically was criteria F under the USAT qualification guidelines. I did the LA Triathlon. They don't do it anymore, but it's an Olympic distance triathlon in LA. And I just did it like 2022. So it was like post-COVID. The qualification standards for this specific race were the fact that it had a pro field and the prize purse was more than $5,000. And I came in the top 3 women overall. So I actually got third. Did not know I qualified. Was like, oh, I'm on the podium. How fun, whatever. And then like a week later, the girl who won, Brittany, she's one of my friends. She actually has her pro card now. She just took hers. And she DM'd me and was like, hey girl, are you going to take your pro card? And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, you qualified. And I was like, what? So I had an internal debate for a little while. I was like, should I take it? I feel like a fraud. But I was like, I don't know. Yeah, you have until the end of the year. So I qualified in June. You can have until the end of the year to decide whether you want to take your card. And then you just have to submit proof of your, qualifications. So I was like, I'm going to do it right now. So I took it in the middle of the year. And then once at this time, back in 2022, once you had your pro card, you had it for the rest of that calendar year. And then for 3 more years. And then at the end of the 3 years, you have to requalify. And if you don't, you just go back to age group. I think now, though, they changed that standard. It's same thing, qualify for the rest of that year, but you only have 1 calendar year instead of 3 to requalify.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you only had 24 months now. And then
you
had
that's it.
Like a year waiting period before you could go back to age group or something weird like that.
There's so many rules and it's so confusing, but to requalify, guys, it's so hard. There's obviously you can kind of strategically go to certain races. A lot of people do, I think White Lake, maybe, I don't know. There's specific races people go to that are easier to requalify. But I think the main criteria is you have to finish within 8% of the winner's time. And I keep doing these races that are just insane IRONMAN, Oceanside 70.3, where Taylor Nibb shows up or something. And I'm like, you think that I can finish within 8% of Taylor Nibb's time? I'm coming in last place. At La Quinta. Okay, so at La Quinta this year, that's my last pro race. And I was I knew I wasn't going to requalify. Jackie Herring was there. And I actually PR'd by like 5 minutes and I had a great time and I still came in last. So it's crazy. These girls are so strong.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them are very fast. And yeah, I've been to a few races where we thought it was going to be like low key, and then 2 or 3 of the like top pros show up.
Yeah, and you're like, dang it.
Well, and there's some races now with the Pro Series that still have pro fields but aren't advertised as Pro Series.
Mhm.
Like I think it was Chattanooga 70.3 was that way last year.
Mhm.
And like we got there and we're like, oh, this is going to be super chill. And then there's like a whole pro field. And we're like, but it's not a Pro Series race. So from an age grouper, that was kind of confusing. But I know a few
Yeah.
people who got their pro card at that one because like pros showed up, but it wasn't a
Yeah.
Pro Series race.
Yeah, so that's like also the kind of confusing thing there's a lot of things you have to learn as a pro. It's like there's just a lot. But yeah, for pros, there's a whole list of races that you are allowed to do, and some are Pro Series and some aren't. So like
Mhm.
Oceanside was, and like St. George was for me last year, but then like La Quinta isn't. So there's like still a pro field, but it's not Pro Series. So yeah, then you were like, oh, maybe not all the big pros will show up since it's not Pro Series, and then they do, and you're like, dang.
And then there's ones that don't have. So as a pro, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not allowed to do the races that do not have a pro field.
I was also very confused about this in my day. I think that you're technically allowed to. You just have to tell the race directors that you're a pro, and then you're not allowed to like place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I would
So
do,
that's what I thought.
yeah,
I think, was it Lucy like 2 years ago? She did Nice 70.3 and they just took
yeah,
her out of the results.
yeah. Which
That's
I've
fun.
done like a few Olympic, like local ones. And again, I'm not like, I mean, I'm like I said, like last like hashtag slow pro, but there were a couple of like fun Olympics that I would do because there's a lot of races in LA, and
Mhm.
again, they're just like Olympics, not Ironman or anything, so smaller races, and I would just do them for fun and then tell the race director, and it was fine. But like honestly, it's not like I didn't even win them, so it was fine.
Well, I mean, did you intend to? Like
That's
that's the
true.
question.
Not really, I guess.
So being that, like when you're at the start line or approaching, like the day before, are you walking into it with like specific goals, or are you like, you know what, I'm out here, I'm going to do the best that I can, and it's going to be what it's going to be, like the rest of us?
Oh, that's a good question. I think usually, what is my mindset going into a race? It's usually super nervous. I think that when I first got my pro card going into the races, I was so much more worked up about it and just be like, I have to perform well and not even win or anything. I just was like, well, I don't want to come in last place by like 30 minutes or something and like embarrass myself. I have to like feel like I should be like more in the field or whatever. But then towards the end of those 3 years of having my pro card, I was like, I got more relaxed about it. And then when I'm more relaxed, I race better. So like at La Quinta, again, just using that as an example, it was just like, let's just do the best we could do. The training's there. And then I had a great race. So
Okay, so you said you do better when you relax, which I think is probably true for the vast majority of people, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah. So how do you like prepare yourself so that you show up and you have that relaxed state of mind versus like being a little more uptight and nervous at the start line? I mean, all start lines are nervous, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the distance. There's always like the butterflies, but
Yeah. I think, God, that is such a good question. I don't even know how I do that. I guess I just tell myself, like with Lakeen, again, it's just like I have to tell myself before the race, like the training is there, you've put the work in. And then honestly, I just tell myself that this honestly, in the grand scheme of things, we're on this giant planet, on this floating rock in the middle of the solar system. It's just like your result doesn't matter. And in the beginning, it was kind of like, oh, I'll be embarrassed if I perform poorly because people are tracking me because I have such a big Instagram following. I'm like, there's definitely people that are, but I'm also like, do any of those people really care? I'm like, if they're sitting there, like, if I have a bad race and they're like plotting my demise and they're like, haha, she really sucks. Like, I don't, that's kind of weird. But in general, I think most people, when they're tracking you, are just like, oh, no, she had a bad day. Like if I see someone I'm tracking who had a bad day, I don't think anything of it. So anyway, I just have to like think nobody cares about your results as much as you do, and just like get out there and have fun. So that's kind of like the mindset for La Quinta. But again, yeah, you get to the start line and you're like so nervous. Even when I'm relaxed, I'm nervous.
I mean, I think that's true for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, however many miles in front of you, depending on the race. So coming back to when you got your pro card, one of the things that you said was, you said in your Instagram post a while back, you're like, I didn't really feel like I belonged when I first showed up. I was like, didn't know I got it. And then like, what now? So
Yeah.
tell me about that. Like, how did you feel at your first pro race? I mean, that's kind of cool and nerve-wracking at the same time.
It is. So I would say that race was the first pro race I did was the worst race of my entire life. It was Santa Cruz 70.3 in 2022. And that race is cursed for me. I did it again this year and I will never do it again. But I showed up and walking into that first of all, again, just putting so much pressure on myself, but you go into the pro meeting. And at this point, I didn't really know any of these pro women. And when you're an age, like they're just so like, and they're probably nice people, but it's just, they're so intimidating. They're like the pros and you're like, well, I'm not that fast. I feel like I don't belong here. I'm like, oh, everyone's like, what's she doing? No one's thinking that. So it was just like very intense, put a lot of pressure on myself. And then when it came down to the race, I choked. I did so bad. And then I was like, I think I posted on Instagram about it afterwards, like in my stories. And I was just like, I let everyone down. I'm so sorry. And then like, I got so many DMs of support and everyone's like, we don't care. We think it's cool that you're racing as a pro, blah, blah, blah. But then as time goes on, like I said, the imposter syndrome did start to wear off after a couple like years. And then, you become friends with all the pro women and they're so nice and so cool. And then it's just like, then you kind of feel like you're like part of the crowd a little bit more. But yeah, the first couple were so scary.
Was that just because it was new and
yeah.
In every sport, we tend to hold like the pros or the elites kind of on a little bit of a pedestal, right? And you're like, oh my God. A little starstruck, maybe.
That's kind of what it was. And it's like, also just like going into a room of people, it always helps to have a friend, someone And it was like, oh my God, I don't know anyone here. Like walking into this room full of people, it's just kind of scary. But then, you find a girl who's nice and then you sit next to her and then you guys become besties and then you're seeing her at every race and it's fun. So.
And then you have 5 new besties.
Exactly. And then everyone's besties. And then you're sad when you're not a pro anymore because that means that you don't get to go to the pro meetings and get that quality time with these girls.
But you still can wave from afar and say hi.
I can. From the like age group bullpen. Like, hey guys.
Yeah. With the waved starts.
Yeah, I'm not. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I prefer the like running in like 4 at a time. It's a little more spaced out because as a pro, you all start together and it gets intense in there in the water. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
I was going to say, so my first time actually spectating a triathlon, well, a long distance one, was at Marbella, right? Because it was the 2-day format.
Yeah.
And we were like right there at the water next to the men. They started. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen it from this vantage point. It was so chaotic and intense for like 30 seconds. After they spent like 20 minutes announcing everyone.
No, of course. Yeah.
I like that part. I don't know. I'm like, if you're the first one they announce, you've got like 20 minutes for you just stand there with everyone staring at you. This is what I was thinking I'm like, this guy is like standing there for like 20, 25 minutes while they announce everyone else and everyone's just staring at his mostly naked ass.
Yeah, no, really. And you're like, yeah, it's intense.
It is. Okay. So in training, like you do a lot of videos making fun of triathlon, which
I do.
I love.
Thank you.
And triathletes. And I think that's kind of why everyone knows who you are, right? Is because you kind of, you have a fun approach to it.
Thank you.
And, but when you kind of made that move from an age grouper to a pro, how did your training change?
So I never had a coach before I got my pro card. And then when I got my pro card, I kind of just like would just do whatever I wanted, right? So like during COVID, I rode my bike all the time. didn't really ever run. Running has been the biggest like struggle, like work in progress for me. And I used to not like it. Actually really like love running now, but I was like, oh shoot, I should probably hire a coach because I'm like not that good at running. And I'm like, I don't have the like self motivation to actually go run more. Cause if it's up to me, I would just ride my bike all the time. So anyway, I hired my first coach. And it was nice having some structured training, but that first coach, we didn't have the same philosophy. His was like a lot of like zone 2 riding alone. And I'm like, okay, I need group rides. Like I need to see my friends kind of thing. And then we parted ways at the end of that year. And then I went like half a year again without a coach. So back to my bad ways of not running. And then I hired my coach who I have now. So I guess my training kind of changed just to be more like even with the 3 sports, which honestly, like now I really like my current structure. And like, I can't even imagine now. Cause like sometimes I'm like, oh man, if I just focused on running, like I bet I could get really good at running. I'm like, no, I need all 3 sports. Otherwise I would get so bored. So I'm pretty happy with my current, structure.
I don't know. I could live without running myself. Just,
I always,
if I could get away with just training on the bike like 80% of the time, I totally would. But I can definitely relate here. Like running
yeah,
is a necessary evil here. And the irony is I got into triathlon because I was an injured runner.
yep, that sounds about right.
Right. And I like, why was I an injured runner? Because I kind of suck at it.
That's the thing. I know running hurts the most, right? Like physically, just joint like injuries. But if I am like, there's been times where I have been like a little bit injured and can't run, and I'm like, I don't think that I'm gonna miss it. And then I'm like a weekend and not running, I'm like, man, I'm really missing running. And then I see runners out on the street, and I'm like jealous. So I'm like, I guess I like it. I
Yeah,
guess.
my coach is like, "Can you not sign up for so many events?" And I'm like, "You want me to train, right? Because these are what motivates me to train."
Same. Oh my God. Yeah. If I don't have a race on the calendar, I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah, yeah. And I got into before I was in triathlon, I got into doing the Run Disney races because
Well, yeah.
they have these challenges every weekend where like it's like a 5K, a 10K, a half.
Yeah.
Once a year they do a full, and that was what got me into like back into like endurance stuff because I was like, oh yeah, let's do all of it. And my coach is like, can we not do that? I'm like, no, no, no. That's like the fun in life right there.
Right. I know I'm glad. That's the thing I noticed about a lot of like some of the pro women I'm friends with who, I mean, they're a lot faster than me. So they're like actually, could win money kind of thing. So they really only do triathlons, obviously, because it's like their focus, their, whatever. But I'm like, man, I really love just doing whatever I want. And so that's kind of one thing my coach has had to like come to terms with. It's like, yeah, obviously like triathlon's the focus, but I'm going to do an ultra marathon, and I'm going to do a bunch of half marathon. Like I'm going to do this open water race. Just like put it in the schedule, figure it out. That's your job. So I feel you on that.
Yeah, I have a couple athletes like that. And it's always, every time I meet with them, it's always a surprise. Like, what did you sign up for
Yeah.
now?
It's kind of fun, right?
A lot
Add
of
some
times.
spice to your life.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times it's like, okay, are we treating that as a race or are we just using it as a training block?
That's a good question.
Every once in a while, it's like, oh, you're going to do that. Okay. All right. We'll run with it.
Yeah, that's funny. That's literally my coaches.
Well, it sounds like your coach is very likable.
Yeah, he's great.
So what's your next race?
I
As
am
an
doing Oceanside 70.3, March 28th, 2 months from yesterday.
2 months from yesterday and sold out.
Yeah. So one thing you get used to as a pro is, well, not before last year. So you can kind of sign up whenever you want. They open up the race for the pros to sign up like 2 months or whatever before. And then you can almost sign up till almost a week beforehand. However, and that's how I was treating it. I mean, I always knew what races I wanted to do. Like I have
Right.
I have a job, you know what I mean? I'm like, I have to be very specific about like my PTO and like traveling and all that. But it was a little more relaxed, except for last year with St. George. I like didn't sign up right when it opened, and then it actually closed to the pros because so many people signed up, and I literally panicked because I was like, this is the last year. And that's like my favorite race, but they put me on a wait list and I ended up getting in. But going back to age group, I was like, oh my gosh, this is something I have to think about. Like these races sell out. I'm like, I need to register. So for Oceanside, I registered like right when it opened for age group, and also realized how much more expensive these races have gotten since I was an age grouper
Yeah,
4
they've
years
like
ago or
doubled
whatever.
in price.
Ah, I was like pretty sure last time I was an age grouper, there were like Oceanside's usually a little more expensive, but like 300, 350. When I signed up for Oceanside this time, it was over 600 for a half. It's crazy.
Wait till you see the fulls.
Oh yeah, that's why I don't do fulls. So
Yeah,
expensive.
I'm one of the Ironman Foundation ambassadors, so I've kind of gotten used to being able to race whatever race I want.
Yeah, that's so nice.
And I called up Andrea the other day. I'm like, how's Oceanside sound? And she's like, we can put you on the wait list.
No.
I'm
I'm
like, wait,
sorry.
what?
Yeah.
It's the first time I've heard those words.
You're like, what? Well, did you get on the wait list?
No, I decided. So I was planning to do Texas, but I had a hamstring surgery back in November after
Wow.
Marbella. Yeah, we got off the plane from Marbella, and 2 days later I had surgery.
Oh my God.
And so like 2 months of doing basically nothing. So now I'm like kind of getting back into it, building strength back
Yeah.
up, becoming less fluffy. And I was planning to do Texas, and I'm like, yeah, maybe we do Oceanside instead of Texas.
Yeah.
And she's like, can't do Oceanside. I'm like, all right, you know what?
Dang.
Jacksonville, and we'll just do Florida at the end of the year.
Perfect. That's, I mean, I think a wait list is hard. That was the thing with St. George too, being on the wait list. I mean, I had a feeling I'd get in, but it's like, do I book the hotel? Like you have to get flights, all this stuff. And it's so much admin if you don't even know if you're racing.
Yeah, and flights get more expensive, and they're not
Yes.
refundable.
Yes. That is true.
They refund it to a travel credit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my least favorite part of like last minute is
Yeah.
just the cost of everything. We had a race where they're like, "Can you all come to Nashville next, in a couple of weeks?" I'm like, I guess so, but we're gonna drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only a 12-hour drive.
That's
but
it.
It's
That's nothing. Yeah.
better than flying because flying is
Yeah.
like 600. It's like,
That's so expensive.
yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
So you developed a really big social media following pretty
did.
quickly. It sounds like you're frustrated like the rest of us with
Yes.
it kind of plateauing off in the last couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to a number of people, like creators on Instagram, and like the story's the same with everyone. It's like, it's just like plateauing. It's not growing.
Yeah.
But what made you decide to kind of focus on that, the social media aspect?
So I've always like been obsessed with social media, ever since Facebook in 2007 or whatever. But I think, so when I got out of college and kind of just like was trying to figure out my fitness journey, I actually started that account in like 2015, but it was like a different name, a different focus. And then I did my first triathlon and I was like, oh, this is going to be my whole personality. So then I like changed it to be a triathlon page. But at that point, I was like living in Ohio still. This is like 2017, 2018. And I wasn't really posting on it very much. Like I would just do the classic, like the picture of your shoes with like an overlay from Matt by Run, like everyone was doing back then. And
I
so
remember those days.
Yeah, those are great. Simple days. But I just like didn't have a big following. It's just mostly like my friends who I asked to follow me. And then I moved to LA, and then in 2019, and then in 2020, I started like riding a lot and like meeting people out here. And so then it kind of started to grow just from like meeting people and posting like cycling video, like pictures. I hadn't really posted any videos yet, but then in 2021, I posted my first reel, and I knew where like reels were kind of new, and it was kind of uncharted territory. And I posted my first reel, and it like kind of did really well. And it was very fun for me to make. And it wasn't even like funny or, like normal, like my normal content, but it did so well. And I was like, wait a minute, there's something here. And then I became obsessed with it. And so from like, I think like 2021, I like started posting not like every day, but like more reels, kind of sprinkling them in. And then in like 2022, I really started to grow. And that's like where I was like posting, I mean, like every single day. I still try to almost post every day, which is a lot. But yeah, I think I grew like really big and fast from like 2022 to 2023-ish, 2024. And then I hit the like this plateau. Like I reached out to brands in June of 2024, like brands that I already work with. And I was like, I'm going to do this 100K giveaway. It's coming up. Because I think at that point I was at like 92 or like 90. And I was like, it's coming up hot. I was like, would you be willing to like give me a Garmin watch or like this Zoot backpack, like all these brands to like, and they're like, yeah, girl, so excited for you. I had one brand already send me they sent me a box of stuff. They're like, you can use this for the giveaway. So I was like all excited. Okay. So it's almost 2 years later and I'm at 96 and it's just stopped. Like I did post a reel a couple days ago that went like a little bit viral and that has helped like bump me from, I think I was stuck at 96.4 and now I'm at 96.7. So I'm like, okay. But it's just that like every day I'd get like, you look at it's so unhealthy for me to look at this and I should stop like for my mental health because it does, in the grand scheme of things, followers really don't matter. But you look at like the specific analytics and you can see how many people followed you and unfollowed you. So usually my
unfollowed is always heartbreaking.
It is. And I just tell myself, and usually my unfollowed is about the same, right? Nothing. When I got married and I posted my wedding photos, I lost like 400 followers. I was like, okay, get those weirdos out of there. But yeah, it's like when you look at that number and it hurts because your like net growth for the day was like -10 and you're like, awesome. So in that day I gained 20 followers, but I lost 30. But it's been like that for like a year.
That is one of the most frustrating things. You log in, you see the little number and you're like, oh, I got like 30 new followers. And you're like, but the number didn't change. What's going on?
No, it's so heartbreaking. So it's like, it's still really fun for me. So I'm like trying to separate that, like, just don't worry about followers. It's the algorithm. It's nothing. It literally is nothing personal. It is the algorithm. Like, you know, I have friends who aren't seeing my videos and then randomly one will go viral, but it's just really fun for me. Cause like my job is like, I do social media marketing for my job, but it's not, I can't be as like creative and fun. And so it's just like a really like nice outlet for me. So I'm like, don't worry about likes and follows. Just like keep making videos.
You, taking work home then.
What?
For you, it's basically taking work home.
Exactly. No, it's like so true. And like it is like a second job because I get, you know, brand deals and, you know, get a little bit extra money from it, which is fun. I mean, I haven't in a while again because it's like, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I love it. If I could do it full time, that would be like the dream. But it's so inconsistent with like money and everything. So, you know.
Yeah, we were very excited. We got our annual paycheck from Facebook, $5.27.
Hell yeah.
We're like, does
Sounds
that
about
buy
right.
a Big Mac yet?
Probably not even, honestly.
Probably not even. I think, I don't know. I still have like 1997 prices in my head. I'm pretty sure that's a lot more expensive.
The $5 foot long, not even $5.
I do remember that commercial.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your favorite workout? I mean, you kind of talked about like in group cycling, but what is your favorite workout? There's a lot to choose from here.
Okay. Let me think about that. That is okay. I have like a couple. My all-time favorite workout is give me like a Saturday that's like in the spring, not too hot, but like sun. I mean, it's LA. It's like usually pretty nice here. But like warm, but not too hot. And give me like
warm for you is how hot?
If it hits like 90, that starts to get a little too hot for me. I like the heat. I do prefer it over the cold, but yeah, it's like sometimes it gets to like over 100 up here, and I'm like, okay, that's a little warm for a workout. But there's no humidity, so that helps. Yeah, give me like a Saturday, spring day, and then give me like a 70 to 100 mile bike ride with like 8,000 to 10,000 feet of climbing. Like that is my favorite day. Just like an insane ride in the mountains with my friends. I'm like, I can't think of anything better. That's like so fun. I love just like spending that much time with my friends and then yapping, gossiping, and getting a great workout. And then I guess that's a
pretty solid workout.
That is a solid workout. And I'm like, it's not really tri-specific, but I guess kind of, right? The long Saturday ride.
I mean, cycling is where we spend most of our time.
That's true. And I'm like, might as well make it fun. What is my I also really I've come to start liking interval run workouts, which is very surprising for me. I don't love interval bike. Like when I'm on the trainer doing intervals, I'm like, this is so hard. I can't do it. I'm like, this sucks. But when I run, I'm like, I kind of love the pain. So I think that's like my other perfect workout.
I've learned to like interval runs, but for a very different reason. I get so bored, and the intervals
Okay,
make it more
fair.
interesting.
That is so true because I do like a long run occasionally, but yeah, they are kind of boring. Like just like your, 2 hour
Yeah, especially if
long
you're
run.
like out on a path or worse, a
My
treadmill
God, the
because
worst.
it's outside.
Yeah. No, the worst. So yeah, I
I
think
mean, you
those are
guys
my
have been spared. You guys have been spared from all the snow the rest of the country's been getting, right?
That's true. Yeah. Everyone at work, because my work is based in Kansas City. So everyone I work with is there or like on the East Coast. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's like 6 degrees today, like warmed up. And they're like, what is it there? And I'm like, 75. I'm so sorry. Sorry. But I'm from Ohio originally, and I was actually supposed to go home this past weekend for my brother's. They're doing like a couple's wedding shower. And it was like a super short trip. I ended up just canceling my flight because I was like, okay, you guys are getting a foot of snow and then also maybe ice. I was like, I'm just going to stay here.
Where in Ohio are you from?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I'm from a little bit south of that in Coshocton, which most people have never heard about.
In Kentucky?
No, it's in Ohio.
It's in Ohio? South of Cincinnati?
Yeah. You know where Zanesville is?
Yeah. Oh, like more in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see. Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, like we grew up with cornfields everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then more cornfields.
Just corn as far as the eye could see. It's so funny. Everyone in LA, all my friends are like, they think that I like grew up on a cornfield. And I'm like, I mean, I just grew up in like a subdivision outside of a city. I don't know.
And the city was surrounded by cornfields.
Yes. I was like, I mean, you're not wrong.
It
Like
all
if you
comes back to cornfields.
Yeah. It's like you just have to drive like 2 miles and then there's a cornfield. So
Right.
it's inaccurate.
Where
Yeah.
we just like walked across the street and there was a cornfield.
Yeah.
Although in fairness, I live in Pennsylvania now, and across the street from me is a cornfield.
Yeah. But Pennsylvania has like mountains,
We do. I live in Southeast PA.
Oh my God, lovely.
Most people think that PA is flat, and it is not flat.
No, that is a bad misconception.
Right. Now you go a little like half hour, 45 minutes south of us, and it goes really flat as you get into Maryland.
Yeah.
But here we've got like between the foothills of the the foothills of the Poconos and the Poconos, which will humble most riders. And then if we ride west into Lancaster, it's like conceptually you're like, it's farm fields, it's flat. No, it is not flat.
Yeah,
I have never gotten so much elevation in such a short period of time, not being in a mountain as I have in Lancaster. It's crazy.
It's deceiving. Do you know one of my friends who lives here is from Lancaster, and she goes back. You guys say Lancaster. I can't say it the right way that you guys say it. I say Lancaster, and like that's not right. But Rebecca Younginger, she's a pro. Do you know her?
Okay, I've heard of her.
She's from Lancaster. Yeah, she's from there. She always goes home though, and I'm like, she was home for Christmas and was like, I think she brought her bike, but I don't think she got like any rides in because it was so cold.
No, not around here at Christmas. And it was not a white Christmas, but it was
sad.
Really, really cold one.
Yeah, if it's going to be cold, it might as well be snowy,
Yeah, we do there's a group of us who do a century on New Year's Day.
Uh-huh.
And it was cold and rainy. We only made it 75 miles.
Well, that's pretty far. That's pretty good though. For cold and rainy, most people wouldn't make it that
it was
far.
cold and rainy and like 11.
Yeah, that's
it's like
sad.
You're out there with like 3 pairs of leggings on, like 4 jackets and 2 pairs of gloves.
Yep.
And the thing that makes your ride end early is because you only have like 2 pairs of socks on.
Yeah, you're like I needed a third.
It gets so cold.
Yeah, that's true. That I used to ride like in Ohio, as long as it wasn't snowing. Obviously, if it was above like 25, I'd be like, it's a beautiful day. I'm gonna ride outside. And nothing is colder than being cold on a bike.
No.
Nothing. Like it's just it's like a next level of cold.
And once you get cold, you never warm back up.
You're done.
You really don't.
yeah, especially when your feet get cold, game over.
Yeah, yeah. I've been in a few races where like it's beautiful at the start and then you get like halfway through, the weather changes. At, well, was it Nice 2 years ago? Like it
Uh-huh.
was like 80 degrees at the start line. And then we get up in the mountains and it's like 30 and snowing.
That's insane. That's
It was
insane.
it was crazy. Some of the pro women were like wearing like solar blankets, like
But
Marliars
yeah,
under their
very
jackets
smart.
and
Yeah.
everything. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
but you got to deal with like the getting up there part too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It gets hot when you're climbing and then yeah.
Right, right. And then you get into the flats where it's just flat and windy with nothing to break the wind.
God.
Okay, so changing topics a little bit. So
Yeah.
you're a very experienced triathlete, an accomplished athlete. How would you talk to someone who's new in the sport? So, like, your social media is all about making triathlon fun and interesting and welcoming more people into it, which
Mhm.
is great, especially right now. What do you say to someone who is new and trying to get into it? Because it is a hard sport to break into.
It is. I would say, and like, I mean, when I first started in 2016, yeah, I didn't really know anyone who did triathlons. It just seemed like the natural next step for me
Mhm.
with like already having the swimming background and stuff. So, and at that point, I was really young, right? I was like 23. So it was like extra intimidating because you're like young and you're a girl and you're showing up and it's just like all these like middle aged men with like $10,000 bikes. But I would say just there's so many things I want to say, but just like know that you belong there. Like even if you walk, you're probably going to feel intimidated, but just like know that you do belong. And I feel like even though a lot of people seem really, or they do seem really intimidating and scary, and most people in triathlon I feel like are very nice. Is one thing I've learned. Another thought is don't be afraid to ask stupid questions
Mhm.
because when I had the dumbest questions, well, you think they're dumb, but they're not because everyone has them. And so that's, I think, with my Instagram page, like I hope that people feel comfortable like reaching out to me. And I have had a lot of people reach out to me with like questions and I'm like, oh, well, I'm so glad you asked me that. That's what I'm here for. Like, for example, do I wear underwear with like cycling bibs or what does one wear in a triathlon? Do you change clothes between sports? Like everybody asks these questions and I'm like, those are the same
Man,
questions I
these
have
are
when I
questions you see every day. This is why,
yes.
like Facebook and all these, Facebook especially,
Yeah,
some of the responses that people get are like downright nasty.
I know.
And I feel like in person, everyone's nice and welcoming
That's so
and
true.
super happy to answer any question. But online,
Yeah, wait, that's so true.
some of these groups are like vicious.
That's true. Okay, so don't let that deter you too. If people are like horrible online, because those people are just sad and like weird and they're just like mad that I don't know, they hate their lives, obviously, because if you're
Yeah, it's
happy,
like
you're not
everything.
going to leave comments like that. So just ignore those people. I promise triathletes can be really nice. But again, that's kind of what hopefully, my page helps with is, people feeling comfortable DMing me asking those questions. And for other just like suggestions for beginner triathletes, just have fun. It's a hobby. And that's one thing I have to remind myself every day is especially like around a race. It's like, okay, this is like you're not getting paid for this. Some people this is their job, but for me it's not. So have fun. Cause like what's the point of doing it if it's not fun? And if you do your first triathlon and you hate it, then you don't have to do it ever again. So
It's a very expensive sport to do once and decide you hate.
that is the problem. That was another thing I would also
Yeah.
suggest. Look at if you're just like wanting to try a triathlon, there's a lot of great gear, like used gear on like Facebook
Mhm.
Marketplace, like your local bike shop, or if you do have like a triathlon store in the area, they probably have good suggestions on where you could find good used gear. And for my honestly, the first 4 years I raced triathlon, I literally bought, because I was just out of college, so poor. And for my first bike, I just bought like a $900 road bike, new. So it was a really, not the best bike. And, I usually also recommend this is just a personal opinion, but for your first bike, I always recommend road bike because I'm like, it's more versatile than a triathlon bike. So if you don't want to do triathlons, it's like, well, at least you still have a cool road bike and you could get into cycling. And then I literally had that bike for 4 years. I would just clip on aero bars for like the races. And then I didn't invest into a TT bike till like 2021. you can do like, you don't have to go all out with the money to like
Mhm.
still do well in the sport, you know?
See, I love that you mentioned triathlon store because there's not a lot of them.
No, there's not.
And this is what we're actually in the process of opening one
Oh my
here.
God, cool. That's so cool.
We're like, the podcast has been successful. I left my CIO job a year and a half ago to focus on this. And we're like, we're going to open up a triathlon store / training center.
That's so
Because
cool.
we're like, how do you make things more accessible?
Right.
Everything is so expensive. So like if we can start to bring together like a healthy, trustworthy place where you can like buy and sell used stuff, like that's a good start.
That's such a good idea. I mean, yeah, again, it's like you got like Facebook Marketplace, but it's just also helpful to like just go somewhere, try stuff
Yeah.
on, like see what it looks like if it's used. Like, I mean, for example, like wetsuits.
I was just
Like,
thinking that like wetsuits, like
they're
where
so
can you go to
expensive.
try a wetsuit on and figure out what size? Because
Right.
like Broke is really good with that, but still like I think it took me 3 different ones to figure out what size I was.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I'm sure most like places do have like a good return policy, but like that is a pain in the ass to be like, I got to buy 3 different sizes and spend $3,000 and then return some and then deal with all that. So, yeah, that is a
Yeah.
great idea. I love that.
Yeah, and they'll tell you like, well, look at this, look at the size charts. I'm like, well, but a lot of athletes don't fit in the size charts because like
Yeah,
we're heavier than the size charts would expect for
it's
a height
true.
because there's more muscle.
Exactly.
All right, so we talked about road bikes, which I loved because I'm always like, everyone needs a road bike.
Yes.
And then you buy a tri bike. Like if you're going
Yes.
the other way around, like first, like it is kind of rude to show up to a group ride unless
It
it's with
is.
other triathletes with a tri bike.
It is.
You are going to
It is
be
a faux
asked to
pas.
go home or you're in the back.
Yes. Yes. This is true. Yeah. I don't I think
feel
so. Yeah,
like
I had
you've
the
been
clip-on aero
guilty of it.
bars. I remember when I lived in Cincinnati and I was like, I rode alone a lot, like just
Mhm.
on the bike path, and I had the clip-on aero bars, which obviously come off, but like most of the time I just left them on because I was like, I don't know how to take these on and off. But I remember I went to a group ride. I think I was like maybe one of my first. Like I met this girl, we became friends, and I was like, oh, now I have cycling
Mhm.
friends, and I show up to this group ride, and this guy, he was like the ride leader, and he was such an asshole to me about the aero bars. And he's like, don't get in those when you're, I don't know. He was just like, he didn't say it nicely. And I also didn't really know that you weren't supposed to show up to group rides without them or like with no aero bars. And I was like,
Really?
that's
It was
fine.
rude
But
just for clip on air. I mean, I don't know. I think clip on aero bars are okay.
I agree. And so like that was kind of shocking that he was such a jerk about it. And like that is the thing though. Yeah, TT bikes obviously have aero bars, but they are more, I think, unstable than a road bike. But I remember like now I do like the same group ride every Saturday. It's like a huge group ride in LA. Hundreds of people show up, and if anyone shows up, like occasionally someone will show up with a TT bike, and everyone's like, like, oh my God, who is that? Get him out of the group.
Yeah, there's a group of us that ride, and I'm usually on my road bike, but being most primarily a triathlete, they're like, let her go ahead until
Yeah.
the first hill, and then we're all going to pass her. And then as soon as we get to the top of the hill, I'm like bombing down the other side of it.
Yeah.
So it's like this
Yeah.
big
I mean,
yo.
that's right. But yeah, I mean, you make a good point too. Like if you're riding with other triathletes, like I'll go to the west side and ride with like my triathlon friends,
Mhm.
and most of us ride road bikes, but it's like, okay, if someone's on their TT bike, none of us are like, no one cares, you know?
Yeah, versus like the larger group you were talking about. We have one similar to that
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
They can get really, I think for newer cyclists or people new to the area, it can be really intimidating because they're like,
Yeah.
don't join this ride if you can't do this at this wattage, da 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 da. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. That's how the ride that I do, there's 3 different times, like 7:30, 7:45, and 8. And each one's faster. So I do the 8, which is the fastest. And it's like, the guides from like Legion show up. Like it's fast, but
Mhm.
like it's definitely the thing is if like you're not experienced or new, usually you get dropped. So but like part of it's like sometimes you don't want the like new people there because you're like, okay, you don't crash out the group. There's like 150
Mhm.
people. I'm like, if they don't have good bike handling skills, that's scary, but it's a fun ride.
That is always questionable in large groups, right?
Yeah, it
All
is.
it
You don't
takes
know.
is one person.
Yes. And you don't know. There's 150 people. I don't know all of them. So I just try to stick on like wheels of people I do know and like around people because I'm like, I don't trust
Yeah,
anyone.
there have been a few groups where I've dropped myself because after like 20 miles, I'm like, this is not a safe group to ride.
No, I've totally done that too. And that is the right move. If you're feeling unsafe, just it's fine. Just pull it back and
Yep. Yep.
ride alone. No big deal.
Yeah, I'm like, this dude is on my wheel and I don't trust him.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the
Yeah,
vibes are off.
sometimes the vibes are off. Okay, so as an age grouper, how do you define success now?
Ooh, I've been kind of wondering that. I guess
Well, now's a great time to think about it.
I know, right? That is, I mean, ultimately, not just defining success, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, it would be really awesome to requalify for my pro card. I don't know if I ever will, and it's fine if I don't. But I mean, for me, I think success is just like I'd love to just continue to get faster,
Mhm.
I'm not really focused on like, I don't know, it'd be cool to qualify for like worlds and go to worlds or like stuff like that. But I think for me, it's just like focusing on my own personal
I
times.
have a whole soapbox on the current qualification system. I
It's
don't know,
insane.
that's a whole
No,
different
I know. It's
conversation.
insane.
It's like, I don't know, it's if you're a woman right now, you need to win the
Yeah.
race or you're not
I
going.
know, it's crazy. So that's kind of what I'm thinking because I'm like, I mean, the chances are, and I don't do fulls, like, so I'm not like Kona's not really on the docket for me,
Oh,
but
but
like,
Kona is so much fun.
I know maybe one day I'll do a full again. It's just so much training and it's so expensive. But
It is.
yeah, that's the thing. I was like, maybe like back before I was a pro, I feel like I don't remember if I think I did qualify or I don't know, but I didn't go for some reason. But anyway, I'm like, that was kind of the goal before. But now I'm like, okay, yeah, it's really hard now. So now I'm just going to be like, I just want a PR. That's the goal. That's how I define success, I guess.
I know. I would say like between the 70.3 worlds and Kona,
Hmm.
like Kona is so much more fun.
Well, I am not
Just
surprised.
like the whole vibe, everything, it's so much different.
I feel like I would at least go to spectate. Like I have a lot of friends that go and just like
Mhm.
watch. And I'm like, that'd be fun. I would do that.
And it's a
But
relatively short flight for you.
it's pretty not far, like 5 hours or so. Just pop on over.
Yeah. I have an additional 6 on top of that.
Yeah, that's insane. And then the time difference is like you kind of forget how insane it is. Like I went to Hawaii just for fun once. I was already living in LA, but it was so funny because my friend I went with, she was from Ohio, and she
Mhm.
would be up at like 3 a.m. Like you'd go out on the street to get coffee at like 6, and every person was out and about because everyone's on like US time, like you know, contiguous US time. Like, oh,
Yeah.
everyone's bright and early.
Yeah, and at like 7 o'clock PM there, it's dead
Everyone's asleep.
because everyone is like, "But it's 2 a.m. at home."
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, but yeah.
Yeah, this past year, my new husband, it was his first time, uh, in Hawaii, and I went out a week and a half before he did.
Uh huh.
So it was his first time flying that distance on his own. It was his first time with a layover, period.
How did he do?
He made it there.
Good. That's good.
I talked to him the night before as he had flying from Philly,
Hmm.
most of our layovers are gonna be in, like, Phoenix or LAX, and he was laying over in Phoenix. It's American, so Phoenix.
Yeah.
Out of Philly, it's almost hard to fly anything not American. It's, like,
Right.
90% of the airport, and he's like, there's, like, an hour between flights. He's like, "I don't know that I'm gonna be able to make it. I have to get the bags and then recheck them." I'm like, "Wait, wait, wait, wait.
Yeah.
You need to do
Well,
what?"
he thought
"No, no, you don't do
no.
that. No, you go from your flight to the next flight. The bags will follow you."
Yeah, they will get there on their own. Don't worry about that.
Right,
That's so
right.
funny. Oh my god,
Trust
thank God he said that.
I
Then you
know,
could
I
tell him.
know.
He would have
S
definitely missed the
I
flight if he
Right, I'm like and in my head, I'm like, I, essentially traveled for a living in my last job and
right.
I was like, oh, he's never had a layover before.
So funny.
That was such a strange thing. But no, I hate traveling with the bike. It's
Me
so
too.
stressful. It's
I
just so
don't.
stressful.
That's why I do races I can drive to, honestly. But I am doing one this year that I probably will have to fly to. And I'm like, I'm so scared.
Which one is that?
Oregon, 70.3.
Yeah,
Like it
that's
could.
what is that, like 12, 14 hours from
Yeah,
you?
it's pretty far.
It's doable.
It would be doable, but
Us East Coasters that, like Philadelphia to Orlando is 20 hours. And we're like,
yeah, no, that's insane. I'm doing like Oregon, and then my in-laws are coming. My brother-in-law is doing it too. He races triathlons. And so we're all going to do like a big road trip after where we do like Oregon and Northern California. And I'm like,
nice.
what do I do with the bike? Because I'm like, if I fly
Get a
with the
bike
bike,
rack.
then I have this giant bike box. And then it's like trying to fit everyone and all our stuff in like a rental car to like do this road trip. So I'm like trying to figure that out. A
I mean, you could
logistical
just
nightmare.
board it to the roof.
That's true. Or if I drove, then I'd have my car and that would make everything easier. But that is a long ass.
That is a long ass drive. But I mean, there's nothing like a good road trip.
I do like driving. My husband does not. But I'm like, he could fly and meet me there. But that's a long
I've
drive by
done that.
yourself.
Done that before. We got married at Disney last year.
Oh my God.
So we got married in front of the castle. But the dress, I had walked in. I said to them, I'm like, getting married in front of the castle. I need a dress that's like up to the
Yeah.
task. And so the dress was huge.
Yeah.
Well, we drive a Rivian, so it's a big SUV, right?
Oh, I love a Rivian. Okay.
Me too, especially with the triathlon. Oh, so much space.
They're so good. Yeah.
And anyways, so he flew down with my kids. So
And you drove with the dress.
I drove with the dress, but it got better because I had no commitments and no one was there with me. I kept driving down to Tampa. He did a podcast at IRONMAN headquarters.
Oh my God.
I'm like, this was fantastic. I need to road trip by myself more. Except
Honestly,
it was horrible.
Yeah. I was going to say, it is kind of nice to be like, oh, it's like free will. I can do whatever I want. But then, yeah, that is a long. I'm
But
like, I could
then,
fall asleep
like
at the wheel.
1,200 miles by yourself
Yeah.
is a lot of miles by yourself.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. All right. So anyways, all right. I got a few quickies for you. What is one piece of gear that you can't live without? And your bike and your shoes don't count.
I would have to say my Garmin watch. I'm obsessed.
Your Garmin. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you run without it?
No.
No, really?
I've never even tried. I mean, I'm sure when I was started running, I didn't have a Garmin watch yet. So I would just use like Map My Run or something. But like now I'm like,
So no
very
RPE for
reliant
you.
on it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. When things get hard, although you said you don't like fulls, but when things get really hard, how do you get through them?
Boy. Well, I have done 2 fulls.
Mm-hmm.
I think that honestly for the fulls, to get through them, I said, okay, I spent so much money on this, like you have to finish. But I think usually like, I feel like cliche, but I always tell myself pain is temporary. Like I think like at La Quinta, I had a good run, but around mile 8, I was like, oh my God, like this is really starting to hurt. But then it's just like you're going to cross the finish line in like, whatever, 40 minutes or whatever. And then you're done. And then that's it. And then you can look back on this and be like, wow, you ran really fast. So just like, yeah. I mean, pain is temporary as long as it's not like an actual injury, don't ignore that.
There is a difference between discomfort.
Yeah. Yes. Comfort, not pain.
I have to repeat that to my athletes pretty regularly.
Yes.
There is a discomfort is okay. Pain is bad. Pain is always bad.
I guess I should have clarified. Discomfort is temporary.
I understood what you meant.
You know what I
think
meant.
I read that bumper sticker somewhere too.
Yeah, right.
Pain is temporary. Shut up, legs.
Yeah.
All right. We talked about your favorite workout. What's your least favorite?
Boy. Oh my gosh, that's a good question. There's not too many that I dislike. I feel like probably just intervals on the trainer. I do like I don't really mind riding the trainer. I do like riding Zwift, but there's something about being inside my own home that makes it so hard for me to get a good workout. I don't know if that makes sense. I can't do it. I'm just like, oh, the bed's right there. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I'm totally with you though. I find on a trainer, I have a harder time putting power out, and on
So
a
hard.
treadmill, my paces are always slower.
No, same. Like when I do intervals outside, I'm like nailing them. I'm going fast, like harder. The power, it's like, it's great. But yeah, if I try to do them on the trainer, I just like, ugh, can't get it
Yeah,
up. Like get
last
the heart
year,
rate up in the, yeah.
based on what I was doing on the trainer, my coach was off on my bike at Chattanooga by over an hour.
Oh my God. Well, I
Well,
mean,
I
worked
remember
out.
telling him, I'm like, "You're wrong." And of course,
Yeah.
with the swim being canceled at Chatty last year, I was at the start line like, "We're gonna show him."
Yeah. Amen.
Right? Right? It's like, "No, you're wrong." And I PR'd. Yeah, I PR'd that one by a good bit.
Good.
My new coach looked at that and she's like, "Can you do that, but in a full?"
Like, sure.
Like, "I don't know. I don't know." Yes, my full is like 15% longer than double, I guess, but I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about right. That's pretty good.
Yes, you get there and you get in that spot around like mile 60 and you're like, "I hate this."
Yeah. That is true.
And that lasts for like a half hour and then you're like, "The finish line
And then
is
it comes
closer than the
back.
start line." Yeah.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Every
For
race,
me, it's
there's a
like,
point.
yeah, yeah. Every race there's a point and it's when like mentally you flip to, "Oh my God, this sucks," to the finish line is closer than the start.
Yes. That is so true. That happens literally every race, and it's always on the bike. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
that happened at
Unless
La
it's a marathon.
Quinta.
Unless
Yeah.
it's a standalone marathon. Then there's like a point around like mile 18 where you're like, "I hate life." And around mile 20, you're like, "It's okay. It's okay. We know how to do 10K."
Yeah. Although, oh man, that's hard though. It's like mile 20, you're like, oh, it's just a 10K. And you're like, okay, actually a 10K is kind of long. Marathons are so hard.
Marathon is my favorite distance because it's hard.
That's true. I've done 4 like standalone marathons now, and the first 3 I was like, "Oh my God." But then I did my most recent one last year, did the LA marathon. And, the first time I'd done a marathon with a coach and stuff, and I actually did really well. And I remember like the miles were sliding by like suspiciously. I was holding a great pace, but I was like, this is
Mhm.
suspiciously fast. Like the time's going by. I mean, I did kind of die around mile 20, but I kept it going. PR by like
I mean,
30 minutes.
come on, everyone kind of dies around mile 20.
That's true. That is so true. I
The
think that's
question is
par for
like,
the
how
course.
quickly can you pick yourself back up?
Exactly. That's true.
Yeah, I did a San Francisco marathon a few years ago, and
Mhm.
I was prepared for the hills.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for the wind going across the bridge.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
Yeah, I was on the bridge as the sun was like just starting to come up,
Yeah.
and it was like the windiest I think I've ever experienced going in both directions. Because I was like, "No, no, no, if it's a headwind in one direction, it'll be tailwind the other way." No, 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 it's a headwind in both directions,
Yeah, exactly.
of course. Okay, so you're at the start line. We talked about the nerves, but how do you calm them?
I talk too much. I think that's a yap with other people, and I feel like hopefully that doesn't annoy them. But
I
I
feel
don't
like
know. I
that's
think
the
talking
women's
distracts me.
start group to start with.
I feel like though I always get so nervous, but like as soon as I start the swim, I'm like it kind of goes like if you just go I know when I hit that water it's going to go away. I hate that. I hate that feeling though, like the anticipation, like in transition and then at the start it's just ugh. But again, I know once I start swimming I'm like I calm down and then everything's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, how did you decide what distances you wanted to race? You said you don't like doing fulls. Did you decide you
So
didn't like fulls before you did one or after you did one?
after.
Okay,
So
because you weren't super convincing on that.
I have to think about that. I think when I first signed up, so I literally signed up for my first triathlon before I even owned a bike. I had never ran a half marathon, and for some reason, I was like a half Ironman. Let's do it. I'd never done a triathlon, anything, and it was Ohio 70.3. I
So
don't
you
know why I
jumped
picked.
right into you 70.3.
I did. I don't know even like why that was the. It felt like I don't know. Like I think maybe I just saw that there was one in Ohio. I lived in Ohio, and I was just like, like an Ironman. Whoa, like that's the ultimate goal, right? And so I signed up for that one. And I ended up doing an Olympic before because I was like, I probably should do a shorter one just to see. But then, I kind of
That's how you
do this.
qualified.
Huh?
That's how you got your pro card.
That's true. I do love an Olympic distance. That's not the one I qualified, though. That was just my first Olympic ever in like 2016. But I remember doing it and I started running and I was like, oh my God, because I'd never done any brick workouts. So if you're listening and you're new at triathlon, do your freaking brick workouts because your legs are like,
that must have felt really good on the run.
oh my God, I was like, how am I going to do a half Ironman in like a month? But I did the half and I loved it. I was like, this is so fun. But for me, I feel like for natural progression, it's just like longer and longer races. So, it's like run a half marathon. Well, now I got to do a marathon. So in 2018, I think I'd done like 4 halves at that point. And I was like, I guess I got to do a full now. So I did my first full marathon that spring. And then I was like, okay, I can run a marathon. So I did my first full Ironman and I did Louisville, which 2018 was like iconic because the weather was terrible. It was like 40s, raining, so cold. But I was like, it's your first one. You're like, wow.
Sounds like Lake Placid in a normal year.
Yes. It was so hard. I don't know, it was my first full and I was like, that was magical. I can't believe I did a full Ironman. And then I signed up for my second one, was 2021 Arizona. And honestly, it was fun. I did pretty well. I dropped like an hour off my time. And that was, again, before I had a coach. And I don't know, I just, like, honestly, I would do it again. I think that what I don't like about a full is the amount of just like training. Like, it's so much training. And
A lot.
I'm like, it's a lot. And I'm like, already, I'm doing halves and I'm already tired. But I think for me too, with Olympics, and I think Olympics are really fun too. I think Olympics and halves are so good for me because, like, especially with an Olympic, specifically, the swim is really long compared to the percentages. I'm like, swim's long compared to the bike and run as compared to other races. But I'm really good at running a 10K and a half marathon. Like, I think that's, like, I can run a really solid 10K or half. But then when I start getting to those like really long running like my marathon's fine. I'm just like, I don't know. I haven't done one in a long time. It's been 5 years. So I'm like, maybe I would have a good full, but I feel like for my last full, I ran like 8 miles and then I had to walk run the last like 20, whatever, like 18. And I was like, this is a lot.
I mean, you wouldn't be the only pro who's had to do that.
That's true. And I wasn't a pro then, so it wasn't a big deal. But that was also part of it. I didn't really want to do a full while I had my pro card because I was like, if I did have to walk run, I would have been like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. It's not embarrassing at all. But I was like, I feel like if I raced a full as a pro, I would have finished like an hour slower than everybody else. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't. But now that I'm not an age grouper, maybe I'll do a full at some point.
Yeah, I think like the first time that like reality of like the pro field set in for me as an age grouper was when I passed one of the pros on the run. It was at Lake Placid 2 years ago. And that was when you're like, they're not all shockingly fast.
They're human. Yeah.
They're people. And she was having a very bad day.
That happened.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that happened at Oceanside, like the year before I got maybe even the same year I got my pro card. I don't remember, but I caught one of the pros on the bike and I was like, oh my God. But then I got my pro card and I was the pro that was getting caught by the age group.
Well, but to catch a pro on the bike, that's saying something because they have a pretty decent
for me.
They have a pretty decent advantage from just their start times versus
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. No. Of course, then I did Texas last year, and aside from that horrible swim, Taylor passed me on her second loop, and like I'm pretty fast on the bike.
Yeah.
And she.
Yeah. You're like, bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. That's pretty cool, though. I would like fangirl if she passed me. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah. My husband was took one of the videos that was all over the place of Kat passing her on the run. He was like right there when Kat passed her. And I'm like, I thought you were supposed to be spectating your wife.
He's just capturing viral moments.
Okay. So what is the one thing that you would say to someone coming into the sport new?
The biggest thing, probably cliche too, but just have fun. I mean, like I said, for most of us, this is a hobby. So
I honestly know very few people who this is not a hobby for.
that's true. I mean, same.
Right. We have gone through my list of questions. So I
Great.
feel like I've been just
This
like
was
peppering
good.
them off. Was
Yeah, this was great.
Well, Carolyn, thank you for joining us. And thank you
course.
for putting up with my many questions.
Oh my God, of course. This was very fun.
Yeah, it was great having you on. And I look forward to hopefully having you on again in the future.
Well,
So
yeah,
we'll
I would
see.
be honored.
For our listeners, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and download on your favorite podcast platform. We're all over the place. And with that, we'll see you next time.
Amazon Pharmacy presents Painful Thoughts.
20 more minutes to kill in the pharmacy before my prescription is ready. Maybe I'll grab some deeply discounted out-of-season Halloween candy. I never had a chocolate pumpkin with raisins before. Those were raisins, right?
Next time, use Amazon Pharmacy. We deliver. And no, those were not raisins. Amazon Pharmacy. Healthcare just got less painful.